And welcome to the NFL Today on YouTube. JB along with Coach Cowher, Nate Burleson, and Matt Ryan as we get set to talk about the NFC North. And hey, folks, I got a pretty tough group here, but let me just set the stage and, Coach, you take the ball to run with it. The Packers, first 2 weeks, they look awesome. Maybe part of the answer is what Josh Jacobs told us 2 weeks ago.
Micah Parsons.
There's nothing else. I'm sorry. No. Josh Jacobs, when he said there's nothing else to do in Green Bay. So we're focused on football, and they're playing well. And we look at the Detroit Lions. Talk about a bounce-back game. Just setting the stage. Let's hear your thoughts about them.
Well, I mean, I think, listen, the Green Bay Packers have been so very impressive in their first 2 weeks. There's no question about it. You can't take anything away. You know, you play a divisional opponent, you know, and you're the Detroit Lions. They go through 2 new coordinators. They bounce back this week and show who they kind of are. And that's also a reflection of their head coach, Dan Campbell. I mean, he losing is not going to be accepted, and it's not even an option in that building. And when you lose, you better take it personal because he takes it personal. So they reflect him to a degree. But I still think the Green Bay has got a very solid football team. Matt LaFleur is a good coach, Dan Campbell. And when you look at the division, Kevin O'Connell, what he does in Minnesota, those 3 are maybe 3 of the top coaches in the National Football League. And I know Minnesota, you sit there and look at them, and they came on late to beat the Chicago Bears. And then you say, oh, then Detroit beat the Chicago Bears pretty handily. So where does that put Minnesota? But it's a week-to-week affair. I still think Detroit is still be a team. You know, they lost at Green Bay. Okay, week 1 in Green Bay. They'll look forward to that rematch in Detroit. But I think the Green Bay Packers, I think, are for real. I think when you look at what they did and getting Micah and with Jordan Love and the plethora of receivers that they have right now, them and Detroit, to me, are 2 of the top teams in the NFC.
Yeah. I think about Detroit and what they did today and their bounce back and coming back and beating the Chicago Bears. And you look at what they have been the last handful of years. They had won 10 straight games after a loss coming into today. Now it's 11. The last time they lost back-to-back was October of 2022. Yeah. That's a long time ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good football teams in this league are going to have losses.
Yep.
Great football teams don't have back-to-back losses. I think this is a football team and an organization that is built the right way and is about the right stuff. And Dan Campbell even had comments prior to the game saying, listen, I am good friends with the head coach of the Chicago Bears. But we're going to get the job done today.
Right.
We're going to get the job done. Ben Johnson, he's a great friend of mine, but we're going to take care of business. And I think he provides that bravado for the team, and they take it and they run with it, and they played inspired football today.
Of course, as a head coach, it's almost like he's projecting and then looking at his coaching staff and this team saying, are you going to back my words up or what? Or are you going to leave me out there hanging? Now, it's important to set the stage. So we were in Green Bay. Let's call it what it is. The Lions got punched in the mouth.
100%.
Green Bay looked fantastic. So now they come home. Who do they have coming in? Ben Johnson, a guy that they know very well. Dan Campbell is saying, that's my guy. We're really good friends, but we're going to win today. And I was thinking about this. Who knows Ben Johnson the best? What coaching staff knows him the best? Detroit. So, of course, they wanted to make a statement. Yeah. This wasn't some friendly win. No. They were running up the score like they were trying to get ranked in college football. Yeah. And I respect it. I appreciate it for a couple of reasons. You know, they say you're not supposed to run up the score in the NFL. I think Detroit needed this confidence booster. Yeah. They heard what everybody's saying. Oh, on top of that, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, were also hearing whispers. Yeah. Well, you know what? Aaron Glenn being with the Jets, it's really going to hurt this defense. Ben Johnson, the way he was calling the plays, and I'm quoting myself, the way he was calling the plays last year with the Lions, I just don't think they have the same rhythm. I saw them against the Packers. They don't seem like the same team. They seemed better today. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 3 touchdowns. Yeah. First time in his career. Everybody touched the ball. Big plays all over the field. I just feel like Detroit had to put their foot down at home and send a message, not just to Ben Johnson, but to the rest of the league, saying, listen, we might have stumbled out the gates, but we're as for real as last year. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do coming up in week 3 and 4.
Coach talks about it all the time. You're finding out who your football team is through the first 4 weeks of the season. And oftentimes we think about, you're finding out who your players are, what you have. Dan Campbell's finding out who his coordinators are, and specifically who Johnny Morton is, and how that's going to fit in with what Jared Goff does and what Amon-Ra St. Brown does and what the run game is going to look like. I guarantee you Dan had conversations with both coordinators about, hey, this is my expectation for you as we move forward. Right. I saw one game of how we were communicating, how we game planned, how we did different things. This is where I think we can be better moving forward. You look at the stat line today, This is vintage Jared Goff numbers, right? High completion percentage, 23 of 28.
Why are we not talking about Jared Goff as much as we should be? These numbers are wild. 23 of 28, 344, 5 TDs.
The one I love the most is the 11.9 yards per attempt. That means every time you're dropping back to throw the football, you're getting a first down.
Yeah.
Usually 9.5 is a really good number for that. You're very explosive in that spot. 11.9 is ridiculous. But that's who the Detroit Lions have been the last handful of years. Smash mouth, physical football, but explosive. And I thought Johnny Morton did a great job of adjusting from week 1 to week 2 and getting his guys in a rhythm.
And the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. Calvin Shepard had the same questions asked about him. Aaron Glenn's gone. Well, he doesn't have a feel for this defense and what Green Bay did to him. Boy, no one did that to him last year. And so they came in. So they played a very solid game, okay? And they know who they are. And I think, you know, they are going to be the litmus test. I mean, you've been the team to beat when you talk about being in the NFC, just like the Philadelphia Eagles have to face it every week. The Detroit Lions have to face it every week, too, and particularly in your own division. Now, we're going to find out a little bit about the Detroit Lions because now they're going against the AFC North in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They're going to, so we always said, who's better, AFC North or NFC North? Well, the Detroit Lions are getting a bunch of AFC North.
And let's be honest, we all unanimously said the AFC North.
Sure did.
Yeah, and where they got to go first? To Baltimore.
Tough place.
This is going to be a
place they got beat up the last time they went down there.
Yep. And these are indicator games. These are not like there's a lot of football left to be played.
Absolutely.
But there are statement games that come up where you kind of say, you know what, guys, I know it's only September. We're playing the big boys this week.
Yeah.
You know what? And maybe we don't have to put the pads on because I know what Sunday's going to be like.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to save you from the hitting because on Sunday, there won't be a snap out there that they're not going to feel our presence.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
So let's just make sure we get ourselves. We're playing the Baltimore Ravens, the bullies of the NFC North. Let's find out AFC North. Let's find out if the NFC North can match them.
Yeah, and I like how you put it, Coach, because these are the type of games where you could learn about your roster.
Yeah.
You learn about the vets that you brought in that are supposed to lead the team. You learn about the young fellas that are taking on a bigger role. And what we don't talk about often enough, and it's kind of like what you were talking about, Matt, you also learn about your coaching staff.
No question.
Who are you up against a squad that they say is going to contend for a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
After week 3, a lot of questions will be answered.
And you know, none of us have mentioned the Chicago Bears. And I pose the question to everybody sitting here. Are we a little bit surprised at how they've performed in the first 2 weeks of the season? I had a higher expectation than what I've seen from them in the first 2 weeks, given the talent level, given the addition of Ben Johnson, given the addition of Dennis Allen on the defensive side of the ball as defensive coordinator as well. I expected a better performance in the first 2 weeks of the season from them.
I thought the first game for 3 quarters, they showed that going against Minnesota. They had J.J. McCarthy kind of on his back heels. I thought they did a good job. Caleb was trying to go through his progressions. I think this is a work in progress with a very young quarterback with a new offense, and Ben Johnson is trying to get a feel for Caleb Williams. What he's like during the week is one thing. What he's like on game day, he's got 2 games of information on what does he feel comfortable with. Yeah. And I just hope Caleb can continue to open up to Ben having a dialogue. And Matt, you know this as much as anything. Like I gotta have dialogue with you to make sure you're comfortable. If we have to scale back, we'll scale back. But I want to make sure that you can feel comfortable in this offense where you feel like you can direct it, you can run it, you can master it, you can own it. Where it's about you on that field, where you can direct people.
And as a quarterback, sometimes that's about putting your pride aside.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, we all have this mindset that I can do anything. I can go out there, and as he has said, I don't need to be Superman in pregame comments and stuff like that. But that implies that you feel like Superman.
Yeah.
Right? And there is a growth that comes with knowing what you can do and what you cannot do.
Right.
And the greatest players that I've seen, take Tom Brady, for example. He did not do any one thing better than any other player. But the collection of all of his decision-making, knowing what he could do, what he could not do, playing to his strengths, raising that floor that we talk about all the time, JB. The best quarterbacks, the delta between the ceiling and the floor is the smallest. And I think for Caleb, it's about finding what are the things that I'm not comfortable with and expressing that in a mature and developed way to tell his coach, maybe that worked there. That doesn't work for me. And I think finding that is going to take time, but I think that's the way forward for them.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to stick up for him, but when you're diving into different playbooks each year, that doesn't help.
It's
no
difficult.
question about it. Hey, this is only week 2. So right now, Green Bay is ahead. Give me a thumbnail. The headline on the Green Bay Packers for you right now is
Keep it rolling.
Green Bay Bullies.
ooh.
Stay in the now.
Ooh, very
I wish I
poetic,
had
Coach.
time to tell a story about when
very
Nate was
poetic.
role-playing with Coach Bill Cowher when he first came to CBS. But you know what? My guy in Detroit, Dan Campbell, I think I heard him say, do you guys have my back?
Yeah.
That is motivation enough. Hey, folks, join us next Sunday, 12 noon, right here on CBS.